Dear students, class is about to begin. Please come back to the classroom. Alright, let's look at the next position. This is a recent game I played against one of my young students. I was white, and I jumped here. Just before that, black had cut me off on the left. After the cut, I fought a messy battle with black in the lower right. Then, white jumped out. So, what should black do now? This black group is not alive yet, right? Black certainly cannot sacrifice it. The loss would be far too great. How would you play this position? In the actual game, the student's local handling was not very good, and the student lost without understanding why. That often happens when young players lose. They do not know where the game went wrong. I used to wonder why students could not find ideas like this. Then I realized what was happening. The reason is quite simple. When you meet an idea or method you have never learned, you are very likely to make a mistake. Once you understand the method, you can see for yourself where the game was lost. That is how Go works. Efficiency matters on the board. And after learning something, you must remember it. If you forget it as soon as the lesson ends, it cannot help you. Now think about this position. How should black play? Alright, let's take a look. How should this position be played? First, some students tried the cut. As the proverb says, a cut is where fighting begins. If white gives Atari from the third line, here is the problem. If this is all white does, then black's position is actually very good. Black is clearly doing well. So, what can white do? Have you considered giving Atari from the second line instead? Black extends, and white presses. Does the original cut accomplish anything now? What do you think? Black extends again, and white blocks. This may be the most complicated variation. It is black's most stubborn resistance. But black cannot hold out for long. White makes eye shape. Can black still resist? No. Black hanes, and white turns. If black makes a diagonal move on the first line, trying to start a ko with white, white simply connects solidly, and black dies. So this cut does not work. Some students found a much stronger idea. This clamp is good. 2 students chose it, and the idea behind the clamp is excellent. But one move later in the sequence needs to be corrected. Which move is it? This student also chose the clamp. What rank are you on, Fox? The student followed with this Han. Yes, this move. And what rank are you on, Fox? As your playing strength rises, there is one bad habit you need to correct. Do not play crude moves. Here, our young player happily presses right away. That press feels satisfying in the moment. But why is that a problem? White pulls back and black connects. Your idea is already very good. But to make it just a little better, why spend the press immediately? Why not simply connect now? Just connect. You see the point now, right? Let's compare the variations. If black presses immediately, white pulls back and makes a diagonal move. Black then has to attach on the left, or press on the right. White keeps jumping out. Now we can see that black's Tesuji has achieved very little. Black is still trapped in the middle. But if black simply connects, the position changes completely. Suppose white again makes the diagonal move. Do you know black's next move? Black should definitely not press here again. Black should hain instead. Cut first, right? Yes, cut first. That cut can make things difficult for white. White probably cannot Atari here, because that would lose points. No, that is not quite right. If white gives Atari this way, black counter Ataris. If white extends, black counter Ataris again. Nice, right? White extends and black connects. If white repairs the cut, no, black does not need another counter Atari. Black can simply Atari the stone. And look at the final result. Black has finally jumped clear and freed its head. The first move, the clamp, was excellent. The theme of this lesson is the indirect attack method. Use the surrounding stones to attack indirectly. One student tried to force black's way out directly, but the continuation was not handled well. The only good follow-up would be this clamp. It is better to play this move first and see how white responds. Now focus on the next important move. A simple connection and an immediate press are worlds apart. If black presses with move 5, the result is mediocre. Black can only attach and struggle outward. White will probably answer with a knight's move. White is comfortable and can press again later. Black has not completely forced its head through. If black leaves that press in reserve, the result becomes excellent. That is expert play. White plays diagonally, black hains. Suppose white can only retreat into its shell. Black attaches once more. Do you see how this differs from the earlier line? If white dares to hain, black cuts immediately. Yes, the hane allows black to cut. Now black has truly forced its way through. Can you feel the difference? Alright, so what happened in the actual game? Student turned here, and attached, then haned. Black extended here. That was the sequence in the game. Then black made a tiger's mouth. As the game continued, the student's position ran out of energy and eventually lost. There was no effective continuation. Can you see that? The shape offers very little. Right? Or pass? Let's move to another position. Alright, look at this one. This position is extremely complicated. Black jumps here. White runs out this way. First, let's suppose that black has been surrounded here. Imagine white adding 3 stones here. Now black is enclosed, and there is a wedge at the top. Here is my question about the wedge. Can white kill black outright or only through a ko? Is it a ko or an unconditional kill? Choice A, it becomes a ko. A is ko, B is an unconditional kill. The vote is 6-3. You chose an unconditional kill. Then show me, how does white kill? Black gives Atari. White connects, black captures, white cuts again. Black outerus, white extends, and black outerus again. White is killed outright. So the reading behind the unconditional kill answer was inaccurate. Black should remember one important fact. There is a future co-resource here. Now black knows where it stands. This position is a co. So next, how should black play? Black knows the group is not dead unconditionally. The position is still highly complicated. What should black do in this middle game fight? This tests your feel for the game. Alright, let's look. Focus on this area. The student handled the actual game poorly. This is how the student played. Black pressed and extended, white pushed back. That was the actual sequence. This line is playable, but it carries considerable risk. Perhaps you do not mind taking that risk. Still, what should we call this method? It is hard to say that this attack achieves anything. It does not even look like an attack. Doesn't it look more like black is escorting white home? White happily makes it home. That is the problem. This is why black must first understand the status of the upper group. Once black knows that it can make a ko, there is no need to be afraid. A ko is just a ko. Why fear it? Even if black loses the ko, black gets 2 consecutive moves outside, right? Now look at another idea. Another student suggested black jumps and white attaches. Black hanes and white attaches again. This was another student's line. What would you call this whole sequence? What did the attack actually gain? I call it the escort your opponent home method. Black displays a whole set of techniques only to escort white safely home. Now let's see the proper attacking technique. Black jumps, and white also heads outward. Then black attaches on the left. A direct attack would only escort white home, so black should attack indirectly. Black attaches here. Now white cannot move on the left. If white keeps answering on the left, the large central group will die. White cannot answer there. Extending is best. Black hanes down on the left. Is that hane dangerous? Not at all. White makes a tiger's mouth, black blocks. White outerus, black connects. Suppose white prepares to play here. Black Ataris outside, again threatening the central group. Black is far too thick here. Look at all these supporting stones. White also has another unsettled group. This group is not alive either. White's position is extremely dangerous. Now suppose black attaches here. White pushes, black hanes, white descends, black makes a tiger's mouth. In your answer, what is this push supposed to accomplish? Were you trying to stop white from linking up? Be careful, this move may simply allow white to make a tiger's mouth. Then the entire plan falls apart. Black's real focus should be clear. Keep your eyes fixed on white's 2 large weak groups. To keep white from linking up, black should make a tiger's mouth here. Can white cross? Even with extra courage, white would not dare. After black hangs and extends, how can white recover? If white flees in panic, black blocks and threatens the corner. If white lives in the corner, black forms one solid chain, then breaks into the center. This is what I call establishing a secure footing. Make yourself unassailable first, then attack. With this approach, your own position feels completely safe. Imagine your opponent is a tiger, while you are standing outside the cage. But what do young players like to do? They jump into the cage and wrestle with the tiger. Even if that tiger has not eaten for 3 days and is starving, do you really need to fight it inside the cage? Of course not. So, what should we learn from this? Play steadily, pay more attention to your own weaknesses. Once your own position is unassailable, your winning chances rise significantly. Do you understand? What is today's theme? The indirect attack method. When a direct attack produces no result, but you do not want to give up the attack, what should you do? Attack indirectly. For every direct method, there is an indirect one. That is one of the secrets of attacking, the indirect attack method. All right, that is all for today. Goodbye, everyone.